Hello and welcome to this edition of Reporters here on France 24, the programme that brings you some of the best stories from around the world from our reporters. This week we take you inside a Taliban stronghold in central Afghanistan. The Taliban are a hardline Islamic movement. Nearly 5 years after being forced from power by US-led forces, they've re-emerged as a fighting force, waging a violent campaign against the government and NATO troops. Recently, they've stepped up their operations, launching suicide attacks and kidnapping foreigners, a bloody bid to grab back the reins of power. Well, our reporter Claire Bier went to one of the most dangerous areas of the country to meet a top Taliban commander.
"5 o'clock in the morning. We leave Kabul and head for the Wardak province in central Afghanistan, where a powerful Taliban commander has agreed to speak to us.
Which is the border with Ghazni, where this German were kidnapped, and it is totally under the control of Taliban. So we're hoping to get there without being arrested.
Why?
The reason we have to be careful is because first, not to be kidnapped by the bandits, and secondly, not to be arrested by the governments, and the thirdly, we have to be careful whom we are saying. I'm just worried, not to be arrested by the different groups.
My Afghan journalist guide asked me to put on a burqa so as not to be recognized.
For the man, it would be so difficult because a foreign man can easily recognize from far away and could be kidnapped easily.
Since the last foreigners were kidnapped, barely anyone dares take this road anymore. It leads south towards Kandahar, and it's one of the most dangerous in Afghanistan. Afghan, American and NATO military convoys and trucks carrying provisions are often attacked. After an hour or so on the road, we start to see the traces.
What is this?
It's a truck supplying to foreigners. It's been attacked by the same people as we are going to see them.
The closer we get to our destination, the more the road looks like the front line in a combat zone.
This container has also been burned.
We've been in touch with the Taliban we're going to meet for several months. They want to make sure we're going to show up.
So say this. Said, I'm waiting for you. The spy said, I'm waiting for you with a motorbike, not with a taxi.
So we will follow him?
Yeah. His motorbike is there.
Slow down.
Them.
2 men are waiting for us at the side of the road. They're here to escort us to the Taliban commander and his group. One of them gets into the front of our car. Hello, how are you? Are you well? Everything okay?
We have a motorbike, you see. It's right there in front.
That one?
Yes, there.
Is it far from here?
It's about an hour and a half's drive. We've got a weapon there on the bike.
Is it a Kalashnikov?
Yes, we're always prepared in case there's an ambush.
It's a way of showing that they aren't just protecting us, they're protecting themselves as well. That they don't know us. We drive along a rocky track, twisting and turning for at least an hour.
So this is a Taliban-controlled area.
The Taliban to control.
Yes.
This whole region?
This whole region is under Taliban control.
We still have a long way to go before we reach the meeting point in a remote valley. Our guide rejoins his group. The fighters are waiting for us, all of them masked. There are about 20 of them. And before we can start our interview with the commander, he wants to show us something.
This is our most powerful anti-tank mine. We have several types. It can be remote controlled. You take the top off. Or if you leave the top on, you just put the explosives in, and when the tank rolls over it, it explodes. If you take that off, you put an electronic system in it, and it can be exploded by remote control. We use that when we're far away, in a remote valley like here. They're in two parts.
It's Iranian.
Don't say it's Iranian, it's Chinese.
Oh, Chinese.
They don't want to go into any more detail. The commander goes by the name of Abu Tayyeb. He gets his orders from Mansour Dadullah, one of Mullah Omar's right-hand men. Abu Tayyeb says he's got 1,300 men under his command in the province.
Our forces are already in Kabul, but we haven't yet begun major operations. God willing, that'll happen next year.
He says they've got several hundred operations before explaining that there are two kinds of Taliban fighter. The local ones appointed by Mullah Omar stay in their provinces. But Abu Tayyeb supervises 5 provinces and has several thousand men under his command. His is a special brigade, authorised to do battle anywhere in the country.
A Feday is someone who fights for Islam, regardless of national borders. An important tool for the Mujahideen. Feday can carry out suicide bombings. We can lose our legs, our hands, our feet. We're ready to use any technique. We're all Feday here. Taliban Feday.
Feday means one who is prepared to die. These men use this word more often than they use the word Taliban. They often use the word Mujahideen as well, one who fights in the name of religion.
There are no borders between Muslims. We're all brothers. And thanks to God, there are Iraqi Mujahideen with us. Like that man. He's Iraqi.
The Iraqi is the only man whose face is not masked.
He's Iraqi.
He doesn't speak Pashtun?
No, he doesn't want to speak.
You can speak Arabic, no?
He doesn't want to speak.
Whatever the precise nature of their links, it's clear that these men are in touch with neighbouring countries.
These weapons are all old. They date from the jihad against the Soviets. But the weapons being sent to us nowadays are new weapons. Like this anti-tank launcher we've got from Saddam's Iraq.
It's come from Iraq.
Oh. So it's Iraqi weapons?
The Iraq, it's called Iraqi Saddam weapon.
Is it expensive?
No, for us it's not really expensive. We get them for $300 or $350.
He invites us to ask whatever questions we want. So we ask him what the role of Iran is in all this.
You have a program. After Iraq and Afghanistan, the program is to occupy the Muslim lands. You're just looking for an excuse to attack Iran. If you've seen Iran's weapons, tell me. Show me them. It's just an excuse to occupy Muslim lands.
The interview is over. It's time to pack up the equipment. For the group, today is like a day off. They are there to protect us and to protect the commander. Otherwise, like thousands of others, they would be off fighting somewhere in the province. We are invited to eat, and the atmosphere lightens up.
I'd like to have cut it up into pieces. It would be much better.
It's goat stew.
You like this kind of food, or you want the French way, the French kebab things?
No, I want Afghan food.
It's better than that. It's jihadi food. Oi, there is way too much oil there.
Take the plastic cloth and bring it over, and bring those cushions there as well.
So who eats the most here?
Look at that. No, they're laughing at me.
He's joking, is it?
That's no joke, that. You know, we eat a lot because we walk a lot around here.
The men feel they can relax, and with good reason.
The whole region is controlled by the Taliban, and not just here. There are several brigades. All the people around here help us. If they didn't, we couldn't be here.
But one of them still stays away, the Iraqi. The commander explains that this man has chosen to be a suicide bomber and is awaiting his departure.
Yes, he prays all the time.
How do you speak to him?
I speak to him in Arabic, the others by signs. These Arabs are my special guards. We all pray just like him. We're all prepared to die. There's no difference between the one who's killed by a bullet and the one who blows himself up. We all pray the same way.
He doesn't tell us any more about this man, just that there are many Arab fighters under his command, and that it is their choice to become suicide bombers. It's prayer time. The men get into position after ablutions. Earlier, one of them, close to Abu TAYEB, had explained why he took up arms.
I'm here to make holy war. We're Muslims, and we're fighting because our country has been invaded by the Americans, who are here to destroy our religion. For us, the most important thing is Islam. We give our blood, our families, our children, and our house for Islam. And after Islam, the most important thing is our country.
We have lunch with the group next to the commander, and we sense that he is beginning to trust us. We're invited to stay. Abu TAYEB drives us out of the valley in his car and takes us to one of the men's houses, but with the camera switched off, so the location can't be recognized.
In the past, the Russian soldiers killed a lot of people. They left mass graves and they didn't care. But at least they didn't insult us. The Afghans are not scared to die, you know, but they don't want to be insulted, culturally, religiously or politically. The Americans humiliate our women and disrespect our culture.
More and more Afghans sympathise with those sentiments, justified or not. Before going to bed, we prepare the programme for the next day. I am keen to visit a school in the province. In southern Afghanistan, the Taliban have burned a lot of schools down, saying they don't agree with non-religious education. So the Wardak fighters take us to a school, early in the morning. Here, more than 500 boys are being taught by 15 teachers.
My name is Ahmed Yusuf. I'm studying English.
And it is difficult or not?
English is no.
This class of 14 to 17-year-olds have been learning English for 3 years. The head teacher tries to explain why they haven't made as much progress as one might hope.
Our teachers receive a salary from the government, but we have a lot of problems. We're short of qualified staff and teaching materials. The students have to buy their own books.
2 times 2 is 4. This team take us around the classrooms, accompanied by a number of Taliban, whom they clearly know well. Here, the students follow a general curriculum, as they do elsewhere in the country.
From the first year, they study religion, geography, history, chemistry, biology, physics, and maths.
Yet, this is Taliban territory. Here, though, the teachers say they don't get any trouble from the Mujahideen.
For the moment, they are encouraging us to press on with education. We have never been warned or threatened by them. They have not violated our rights. They cooperate. They help us.
Of course, it's hard to know if he would have said the same thing if the Taliban weren't right there listening. I ask one of the fighters what he thinks of this broad syllabus, not confined to religious doctrine.
I want my children to go to school. Actually, all our children do go to school because I want them to have an education. We don't ban girls from going to school. We'd be happy for both boys and girls to go. But at the moment in this province, the girls only get teaching from the mullah at the mosque.
Not the sort of thing you expect to hear from the mouth of a Taliban member. The school visit ends with a national song, and this also marks the end of our brief visit to the area. The commander and his men are heading off into battle, and we head back to Kabul, with the curious feeling that we may just have crossed paths with a new generation of Taliban.
उसी अफगानान पके नस्ल आतलान पके वाड़ा सरबाजान पके वाड़ा सरबाजान पके.
Well, reporter Claire Bier joins me now from Kabul. Claire, first of all, how difficult was it for you to gain access to this Taliban world, both as a woman and as a foreign journalist, bearing in mind the recent kidnappings of foreigners?
Well, listen, there's a difference between being a woman and being a reporter here in this country. It is true that as a reporter it's quite difficult to have an access to the Taliban fighters or wearers because you have to go in a war zone. And even if a combatant accepts or agrees to meet you, doesn't mean that the other groups will accept it. Let me remind you that 2 reporters were already kidnapped. And you can be kidnapped by bandits that can sell the reporter as a foreigner against money simply. So as a woman it's different, it's the opposite. That's the impression I had. The Talibans, I mean the groups I have met, were very polite with me. The men were very respectful. The fact that I was a woman didn't prevent them from talking to me. We discussed, I interviewed them without any problem. They told me to take off the burqa I wore to hide my identity.
Claire, the Taliban you met seemed remarkably frank with you. Why do you think they were willing to talk so openly?
Well, I think that today the Talibans have a need to communicate, a need to really say who they are, frankly, because for the journalists it's very difficult to cover this conflict in Afghanistan. We have many reporters who are embedded with the foreign forces, but we have few pictures of reporters going with the Talibans. And the Talibans told me, they told me about propaganda, foreign propaganda. And today their will is to communicate. They have spokespersons and they wish reporters to follow them, to show how they are fighting and why they're fighting today.
Claire Bier from Kabul, thank you very much for joining us. Claire Bier, the reporter behind that exclusive look inside a Taliban stronghold in central Afghanistan. That's all for this week's edition.